नमस्कार, आप सभी लोगों का स्वागत है। वेलकम टू एवरीवन in this edition of the weekly dialogues. And today we have a very special subject, and to talk on that very special subject, we have got the specialist here. आज का जो विषय है वो है राम मंदिर का निर्माण और राम मंदिर का वास्तुशिल्प, आर्किटेक्चर ऑफ राम मंदिर. What is going to be the architecture of Ram Mandir, how it is going to be built, what is going to be its shape. And we have Abhas Maldayar. You already know him. He is a professional architect and is also very much into Indic spaces. So we have got an expert who knows both the Indic space as well as the architecture. Welcome Abhas. कैसे हैं आप?
नमस्ते, थैंक यू. बिल्कुल अच्छा, आप कैसे हैं?
बिल्कुल फर्स्ट क्लास. I hope all is well at your end. And let us
Yes,
talk
all
about how the Ram temple is going to be built. इसकी आर्किटेक्चर क्या होगी, इसका वास्तुशिल्प क्या होगा, आपके वास्तुशिल्प के कौन सी स्टाइल में ये बनाया जाएगा. ये बहुत सारे प्रश्न हैं जो हमारे लोगों को उद्वेलित कर रहे हैं. These are the questions that are exercising the minds of most of our followers and most of the devotees of Bhagwan Ram. So can you just give us
Yes.
a first an overview, and then we will go to the particular topics related with this. It is said, ऐसा
Yes.
कहते हैं कि the cosmos is reflected in the mind and the cosmos is also reflected in the temple spaces. तो इसके पीछे क्या विज्ञान है, पहले तो हमें ये बताएं आभास जी.
टेम्पल आर्किटेक्ट, जैसा कि अभी हम लोगों ने राम मंदिर के सब्जेक्ट से शुरू किया था कि किस स्टाइल में ये अडॉप्ट होने वाला है. और मोस्ट ऑफ द टाइम्स लोग टेम्पल आर्किटेक्चर को सिर्फ एक नॉर्मल एस्थेटिक्स के सेंस में देखने की कोशिश करते हैं. वो ये मानते हैं कि टेम्पल एक अच्छा स्पेस है, कई लोगों को पीस देता है, कई लोगों को वो डिवोशन के लिए जाते हैं. देयर मल्टीपल रीजन जिसके लिए वो टेम्पल में आना जाना करते हैं. लेकिन दिस इज अ वेरी एमिनेंट साइंस व्हिच इज इन्वॉल्व्ड इनटू द कंस्ट्रक्शन ऑफ टेम्पल. उसके साथ साथ कॉस्मोस से काफी रिलेटेड है ये. इट गोज बैक टू द आइडिया ऑफ वास्तु पुरुष मंडला, जहाँ से हम कंसीव करना शुरू करते हैं कि आखिर प्लानिंग कैसे होगी टेम्पल्स की. और स्पेशली ये जो राम मंदिर बनने वाला है, ये नागर स्टाइल को अडॉप्ट करने जा रहा है. और जैसा कि डिस्टिंक्शन किया गया है कि मोस्ट ऑफ द टेम्पल्स व्हेन बिल्ट अबव द विंध्यास वे नागर स्टाइल में थे और उसके नीचे वाले द्रविडियन में बन रहे थे. सो कई बार लोग द्रविडियन को वो आर्यन द्रविडियन वाले कॉन्सेप्ट में भी मिसट्रीट कर लेते हैं और उनको लगता है कि शायद ये द्रविड इज दैट द्रविड व्हाट आर्यन इन्वेजन थ्योरी वाज अबाउट. लेकिन यहाँ पे द्रविड का मतलब भी ये काफी ज्योग्राफिकल कॉनोटेशन है और ये द्रविड स्टाइल ऑफ टेम्पल भी उस ज्योग्राफी से रिलेटेड है जो वहां पे होता है. यहाँ पे नगर स्टाइल में
आपकी बात बिल्कुल सही है, क्योंकि पहले विंध्याचल से नीचे, बिलो विंध्याचल इट वाज द्रविड़, एंड above Vindhyachal it used to be what is called Gaud. So Gaud and Dravid, that was the geographical distinction. I just wanted to add to what you are saying.
Yeah. तो बहुत लोग उससे कंफ्यूज कर जाते हैं, लेकिन फैक्ट जैसा कि आपने भी बताया, इट इज मोर अबाउट द ज्योग्राफिकल अंडरस्टैंडिंग. So we had majorly two distinct style of temple architecture. एक नगर स्टाइल जो कि above the Vindhyas और below Dravidian style. दोनों में वास्टली ज्यादा कुछ डिफरेंसेस नहीं है. इट इज ऑल इन टर्म्स ऑफ मेजरली द फसाड ट्रीटमेंट. कई बार जो ऊपर के शिखर को कैसे जैसे ट्रीट करते हैं और एंट्रेंस कैसे होता है, वहां पे मेजर डिफरेंसेस आते हैं. बट मोर और लेस बिकॉज ऑल द स्पेसेस आर अबाउट द वैदिक साइंसेस, तो उनमें कहीं भी मेजर डिस्टिंक्शन वैसा कुछ नहीं है. Coming back to the science or the more mathematical or metaphysical aspect of the temple architecture, जैसा कि मैंने एक्सप्लेन करना शुरू किया था, इट इज बेस्ड ऑन द सिंपल मेथड ऑफ वास्तु पुरुष मंडला. वी ऑलवेज बिलीव्ड इन द कॉन्सेप्ट ऑफ स्क्वायर्स, यहाँ पे 1 by 1 का एक आप 1 यूनिट का एक स्क्वायर बना सकते हैं, और जब उसको मल्टीप्लाई करते जाएंगे, स्क्वायर करते जाएंगे, तो वो बढ़ते जाता है और मल्टीपल पद क्रिएट होते हैं, और वो जितने पद क्रिएट कर रहे हैं हम, दे ऑल रिप्रेजेंट डिफरेंट काइंड ऑफ कॉस्मिक स्पेसेस। तो एक सबसे जो डिफाइंड काइंड ऑफ फॉर्म जो टेम्पल आर्किटेक्चर के लिए माना जाता है वो 64 पद है। When you reach 8 by 8, it is one of the basic जहां से हमको स्टार्ट करना चाहिए। और जब उसके ऊपर भी हम जब इंक्रीज करते हैं, ऊपर के लेवल पे हम जब बढ़ते हैं, जब शिखर का कंस्ट्रक्शन होता है, शिखर के कंस्ट्रक्शन में भी वी विल सी कि जो स्क्वायर पद होते हैं उसको फर्दर रोटेट कर करके स्प्रिंग्स को हम क्रिएट कर रहे हैं। So further, if we start dwelling into the mathematical aspect of it related to and we relate it with acoustics, और जब हम acoustics से relate करेंगे इसको, तो वहां पे भी हमको बहुत कुछ जानने को मिलता है कि क्यों वो वैसे कंस्ट्रक्ट हो रहा था, व्हाट वाज द रीजन कि उस तरह का पिरामिडल फॉर्म क्यों दिया गया। और उसके साथ साथ हमको ये भी पता चलेगा कि एस्थेटिक, व्हेन वी फर्दर गो इनटू द एस्थेटिकल अंडरस्टैंडिंग, जैसे एक रेशियो की हमेशा बात होती है, जो गोल्डन रेशियो की इज अ वेरी पॉपुलर रेशियो व्हिच कम्स फ्रॉम वेस्ट, जो 1.1661 है, और इट टॉक्स अबाउट वो पिरामिड में ही पाया गया था, एंड दिस रेशियो एग्जिस्ट इन रोमन आर्किटेक्चर में भी प्रिडोमिनेंट था। हम जितने भी, अगर हम नेचर में जितने भी चीज को उठाते हैं उसमें एक सर्टेन गोल्डन रेशियो आता है, लेकिन हमारा कॉन्सेप्ट थोड़ा अलग था। इट वाज थोड़ा हट करके गोल्डन रेशियो, इट वाज ऑल अबाउट 1:1, और वहां से कंसीव होकर के एंड इट फर्दर गोज बैक टू जितने हमारे, अगर स्ट्रक्चरल स्टेबिलिटी की तरफ हम बढ़ना चाहेंगे, तो एक स्क्वायर जितना स्टेबल होता है उतना और कोई फॉर्म स्टेबल नहीं हो सकता है। So this is the very basic understanding of a temple architecture in terms of how scientific or rational it is. This is the basic logic behind it.
तो आप हमें ये भी बताएंगे कि जिस तरह से हमारे योग में ये परिकल्पना की गई है दैट योर बॉडी इज डिवाइडेड इनटू 5 कोशास एंड 7 चक्रास, जो 7 चक्र हैं जिनको आपके मूलाधार, स्वादिष्ठान, मणिपूरक, अनहद, विज्ञान, आज्ञा और सहस्रार चक्र हैं जो हमारे साथ, उनके साथ ये जो टेम्पल आर्किटेक्चर का क्या रिलेशन है? व्हाट इज दैट रिलेशनशिप बिटवीन द चक्रास एंड द लेआउट ऑफ अ टेम्पल?
एग्जैक्टली, जैसे मैंने बताना शुरू किया था, इट इज द होल कॉन्सेप्ट इज बेस्ड ऑन द आइडिया ऑफ वास्तु पुरुष मंडला। और जब पुरुष मंडला भी जहां से स्टार्ट होता है, जब बेसिक डायग्राम हम देखेंगे वास्तु पुरुष मंडला का, उसमें हम देखेंगे कि वन पुरुष हैज बीन लेड ऑनटू अ स्क्वायर where the species are further fragmented, और वहां पे जो प्लानिंग जो फर्दर शुरू होती है, जैसे गर्भगृह का जो लोकेशन होता है, उसके पहले जब मंडपा आएगा, अर्ध मंडपा, मंडपा, और जितने भी पार्ट्स टेम्पल के डिवाइड हो रहे हैं, that is also getting divided based on the chakra location of that particular purusha. So there is a particular reason why garbhagriha has been placed in a particular sanctum or particular corner. This also comes from the very, अगर मैं प्लेनली लोगों को समझाने की कोशिश करूं, जब वास्तु शास्त्र में हम आते हैं, जैसे वास्तु शास्त्र में एक बहुत बेसिक कॉन्सेप्ट लोग फॉलो करते हैं कि अग्नि कौन होता है, ब्रह्म केंद्र होता है किसी भी घर का। तो ब्रह्म केंद्र में हम क्या करते हैं, ब्रह्म केंद्र को माना जाता था कि आंगन की तरह होता है, ये ओपन स्पेस है, और पहले के टाइम में डीटी का भी पोजीशन अक्सर वहां पे हम रखते थे। सो दिस अगेन इज बेस्ड ऑन द होल आइडिया ऑफ वास्तु पुरुष मंडला, और ये वेरियस चक्रा का जो लेवल है, वहां से ये सेग्रीगेशन वास्तु शास्त्र में भी आता है, और टेम्पल आर्किटेक्चर में हम पद में उसको डिवाइड कर रहे हैं, एक पुरुष को वेरियस पार्ट्स में डिवाइड करके, वहां पे ये जाकर के वैसे भी ट्रांसलेट हो रहा है।
So can you explain it through some graphics if you have?
I currently don't have graphics based on Vastu Purush Mandala in detail, but I can show something which
So what
people
you can
might
do
be
is
able to
that
relate to.
just give a picture of a temple and indicate what all chakras are located in what places.
Yes. So if one can see that this is the very basic form of Vastu Purush Mandala, like, and one can see that this is again divided into, as I was speaking, it starts up with the concept of squares, where square further goes on to multiplying. And if I had to draw as a basic starter for people to understand, so this region is where the head of a human being will be lying, and the whole thing further translates to get a form of a human in itself. And this axis, what we are looking at, is one of the direction or the vector at which most of the chakras will be located. Now, if I further go to the plans, one of the plan of any temple per se, this temple, this is basic floor plan of Krishna temple in Khajuraho. So in this also, we have got a very basic distinction of how the spaces are working. And अगर मैं इसको further relate करना शुरू करूँ वास्तु पुरुष मंडला से, like how it is divided as per the human body form, and also with the chakras, it all relates with the basically the human will be lying at this direction. This completely is laid in a form of a human itself. Can it be? Can you see the highlighted part? Hopefully
Yes,
it
yes,
is
yes.
visible.
We can see it very clearly. We can see that
Yeah.
highlighted part
So
very
this is where the head of the human is coming, and we can see that the further when we transverse toward this side, these are the fit portion of the human being. And once you start moving toward, and all the chakras start from the rear side of the head, and we further, the chakras further goes on to other chakra will be near the esophagus, and then further goes on and on. So these all the mandapas, the womb chamber, that is the garbhagriha, all these are the locations for the chakras of our bodies.
So like
And also
Garbhagriha, if I may
yeah,
ask, the Garbhagriha would be the Sahasrar Chakra, is it? Or-
yes, yes,
And just below that will be the Agra Chakra, Agya Chakra here.
yes,
And then
it
we will
goes
have
on
the,
and on.
the Vijnana Chakra, then
Vigyan Chakra.
Anahad and Mooladhar, and then we will have the, Swadhisthana, and then the Mooladhar Chakra, where the stairs are laid out. Is that right?
Yes, that is from, yeah, yeah.
So this is then, and then of course the feet, of course there are no chakras in the feet. So the Gopuram or the entrance to
It
the
is
campus is the feet. Is that what you're trying to tell us?
yes,
That's wonderful. That's. So we have this as the Purusha, and this is the Sahasrara Chakra. This is the Agya Chakra. Then this is the Anahad Chakra. Sorry, Vijnana Chakra, Anahad Chakra, Manipurak, and Swadhisthana Chakra, and then Mooladhara Chakra. Like this, all the 7 chakras are indicated in the plan of a temple. Thank you very much for explaining this. Then, what is special about this Ram temple? You can go off the, stop sharing the screen now. Yeah, thank you. So about this Ram temple, I am told about this Ram temple that this is going to be patterned on the 1992 plan of the VHP. And this
yes,
plan was designed by Chandrakant Sompura, whose ancestors had also designed the Somnath temple.
yes,
And the grandfather of Chandrakant Sompura seems to have written some 14 books on the temple architecture.
yes.
So can you enlighten us a little bit about that?
Yeah. So as you gave a brief introduction about the family legacy of Mr. Sompure itself, he himself has designed more than 100 temples so far. And he is expert of designing temples because, as you say, that it comes through the legacy. The construction of Somnath temple has happened through the hands of his grandfather, and so on and on. So it was the project was commissioned to him long back in early 90s, when all this movement really had taken the toll. And the one special feature about this temple which is going to be is that they are going to follow the Nagara style, which is very predominant about the Vindhyas. And to make a distinction about that, what Nagara style of architecture is, you rise on a stone platform, or a platform rather, then you walk across, and then you pass through the Ardha Mandapa, and then the Mandapa comes, and then further the Antargriha and the Garbhagriha finally arises. And you have got a particular style of Shikhara which is designed in the Nagara style of architecture. In here we call it Shikhara, but there's a certain we also call it Kalash most of the times. And also, if we look at the master plan of the whole Ram temple complex, it is very interesting. We had a ample of space available or at the site, so it has been categorically designed with a lot of facilities which would be coming. It will be having a lecture hall. It was going to have a space for people to retire and rest. Then we are going to have Vedic Pathshala. Then we have got places for people to stay in the hostels and visitors and spaces like that. We are also going to have spaces like museum, which was very important. So this is the very brief premise of how this Ram temple is gonna look like. I may like to share my screen to show people that how this is gonna be appearing. So these are the basic facts about the Ram temple, and what we see in the background is the physical model of the same. If I further move ahead. So this is the master plan of the Ram temple which is going to be coming, and this is where we are going to have the major entrances and all. This is where the temple is going to sit. So we can see that there is a quite a long walkway to reach to the temple. So there is a lot of journey which people will transfer through while reaching to the main temple, and it is surrounded by a lot of peripheral building. All these places will be having a peripheral building on the number 5, whatever we see. So these are going to have the spaces of exhibition for about the Ramayana, and also the features about the Ram and about the movement as well. We have also got a Vijay Stamp coming into the place, which will be talking about the whole Ram Janmabhoomi movement. And we also have got the spaces for the research center. We have got places for lecture halls. It is going to have convention centers for the academic discourse related to Ramayana and etc. So moving further, this is the basic plan of the Ram temple which is going to be proposed. So as we spoke about,
left side पे जो है ये टेंपल का प्लान है, और ये जो राइट साइड पे है ये ओवरऑल कैंपस का प्लान है,
मास्टर प्लान.
ये मास्टर प्लान है.
So
और
we can,
लेफ्ट साइड पे जो है ये मंदिर का प्लान है,
मंदिर का फ्लोर प्लान
जी.
So this is going to be our entrance, and when we further move through, this is going to be the Earth Mandapa, and this is the Mandapa, and this is where the Garbhagriha is going to come. And this is following the simple Nagara style of architecture, that you rise up to the step for a certain height, and then you pass through the Mandapa, Ardha Mandapa, and then you reach to the Garbhagriha.
ये आप हमें बताएंगे कि ये जो शिखर की जो स्टाइल है, इस शिखर के साइड में भी कुछ छोटे शिखर होते हैं जिनको शायद अर्ध शिखर बोलते हैं, और बीच में भी कुछ शिखर होते हैं और छोटे शिखर होते हैं. ये शिखर के बारे में आप थोड़ा हमको और बताएंगे क्या?
Yes, I will explain about it, man. This is how majorly, this is again a section or elevation from Khajuraho temple से लिया गया है,
जी जी,
जहाँ पे सारे spaces को mention किया गया temples में, and this has got lot more feature than the earlier Nagara style of architecture of the temples. So this is the main shikhar where the Kailash is sitting, और इसके नीचे में we have a displayed shape amlaka which comes in most of the temples. It is prominent everywhere. So this is the shikhar, and we will be having furthermore, these are the gonna be the secondary shikhars in these places.
And what are these on the side of the main shikhar? These are called, these are also called some shikhar, probably Ardha Shikhar or something.
Ardha Shikhara, these are the Ardha Shikharas which are coming by the side of the other secondary shikhars, which are not the main shikhar. Main shikhar lies just above the Garbhrihas, exactly over the Garbhriha, and it is created by the same size of the pada. Whatever is the size of the pada, it starts with the same pad, with the same square, and it further keeps on rotating with a certain angle to create the form of a sphinx or the spire, what we get over there.
Okay, it's very interesting.
So this is basically the basic plan of a shikhar. It is always created by rotating a particular square at a certain angles, and we have now developed even like everyone talks about the creation of the how the domes are created. But if one really goes into the understanding of how the temple shikhars are created, they themselves are so meticulous, and the amazing sizes which we have achieved in many different temples is something really wow, awe-striking thing. And people have not, somehow we have not been very observant about it, but these are some very remarkable features of our Indian architecture.
अब आप हमें ये भी बताएं आभास जी, that this we know about the exterior. आपने बताया हमें कि how the exterior of a temple is planned. What about the interior? Are there anything special features in a temple on the interiors? Is there any difference between the Nagara style and the Dharwad style in working on the interiors of a temple?
In this particular style of because we are going to be following the Nagara style of architecture in the spaces, so most of the interiors are going to be all the pillars and the bases will be having elaborate kalashas will be kalashas will be in the base of all the pillars, and at the same time there would be, it has been planned that most of the columns will be having elaborate details about the whole life of the Ram. This has been thought about as well. So all these pillars are going to explain about various phases of Ram's life, right from the journey from the birth till the whole of the Ramayana gets over. So the idea is that the whole pillars and the interiors will specifically tell about whole of the Ramayana which unfolded in that period.
Is there also anything special about the नेचर ऑफ द मूर्तिज? कोई इसके पीछे भी कोई किसी तरह का साइंस है क्या कि मूर्ति किस तरह से बनाई जाएगी, और नागरा स्टाइल में और द्रविड़ स्टाइल में भी कोई डिफरेंस है क्या कि मूर्ति किस तरह से बनाई जाएगी? अलग अलग मूर्तियां, क्योंकि वी हैव पैनल्स ऑन आई थिंक thousands of मूर्तिज you will have on any temple besides the main deity. So is there anything specific or special, or is it theme related? How does that work?
Here, what I have, whatever information I have, it explains that most of the murtis are going to be the general stone. One very important distinction is that there going to be no use of any metal work in this particular temple as such. All the work is going to be done using stones, and even the murtis which are going to be located or situated within the temple are going to be made out of the stone. There is no metal work which is going to be involved. But in the recent times, there will
be no mortar used. There will be no cement or lime.
No mortar is going to be used. It's all going to be dry masonry kind of system, where it all works with the process of interlocking. Even the whole of architecture, in fact, is.
Explain to our viewers how this interlocking works, because it's going to be such a huge structure. It's going to be a massive structure with so much of weight on top. How is it going to hold together without any cement and any use of steel?
This is a very interesting thing which I really will want that people understand about it. If I give a very basic example that how an arch works, everyone हम सभी ने देखा होगा कि जब हम ट्रेन से ट्रैवल करते थे या कहीं पे भी, तो वहाँ पे आर्चेज एग्जिस्ट किया करते थे. तो जो आर्चेस का क्रिएशन है वो अपने आप में एक बहुत बड़ा टेक अवे है टू अंडरस्टैंड दैट हाउ दिस टेम्पल्स वर्क, क्योंकि वो जो आर्चेज होते थे उनके नीचे में भी कोई बेस नहीं रहता था, वो ब्रिक एक के ऊपर एक करके लेड किए रहते थे. This is arches are not working on the principle of interlocking, but they are working on a concept that each and every stone or the brick block is supporting the other one. So it's because of the self-supporting system, and उसमें जो एक key stone होता है जो center में रहता है, that really ties whole of a thing all together. Coming back to one can even experiment, अगर वो कोई brick को lay करना शुरू करेगा arch के direction में, he can get the whole arch without the use of any mortar. And I have experimented it on various sites that you can get an arch done. Now coming back to the temples, where the interlocking is a very strong idea which has been running since ages. Everyone knows that and everyone talks about it, that whenever earthquake comes or there is seismic force or something, these temples remain intact, though they were working either on the principle of complete rock cut को तो वैसे भी कुछ नहीं होगा जो rock से निकाला हुआ है. जो इस तरह के टेम्पल थे जो इंटरलॉकिंग सिस्टम से बनते थे, उनको भी आज तक कुछ भी नहीं हुआ है. So what used to happen, अगर हम थोड़ा सा कारपेंट्री की तरफ ध्यान दें कि जैसे हमारे टूल्स और वेरियस ऑब्जेक्ट्स क्रिएट होते हैं कारपेंट्री में, वी हैव अ कॉन्सेप्ट ऑफ इंटरलॉकिंग देयर एज वेल. वहां पे इंटरलॉकिंग करने, एंड ऑल ऑफ अस नो दैट वुड टाइज विद वुड, तो इसीलिए जब भी हम वुड के बीच में भी ज्वाइनरी बनाते हैं, we don't use metal nails but we use wooden nails there as well. So यहाँ पे एक basic formula है और basic understanding है that stone ties well with the stone. कोई भी organic material of the same nature will tie with the particular nature. तो जब stone आपस में tie होता है with the interlocking phenomenon, so with the time they create अपने आप में एक adhesive factor को generate करने लगता है because of its very organic nature. और साथ में जो ये जॉइंट्स क्रिएट करते हैं, एक स्टोन की वेट इतनी होती है कि वो दूसरे स्टोन को सपोर्ट करने में अपने आप में काफी सक्षम होता है. तो जब हम इसका एक फ्री बॉडी डायग्राम बना करके देखेंगे कैसे स्टोन आपस में एक्ट कर रहे हैं, तो एक दूसरे का फोर्स आपस में पूरे स्ट्रक्चर को टाई करके खड़ा रखता है, और साथ में स्टोन दूसरे स्टोन के साथ विद द एडहेसिव, बिकॉज ऑफ द एडहेसिव नेचर, खुद ब खुद कनेक्ट होकर के और भी स्ट्रॉन्ग बॉन्ड बनाता है.
That's a wonderful explanation. But I wonder if we would have any force diagram kind of a thing indicating the various forces acting on each other. इस तरह का अगर कभी कुछ हो तो please do share.
Actually, right now
If not
I
right
don't
now,
have that
then
diagram.
some other time we can always add it on to the video at a later date. If, I suppose does some study of this kind exist?
I am not sure that very elaborate studies based on the force diagrams have existed because most of the times, as I always say, that architecture schools have not laid enough focus on the marvelous temple architecture. There's a very important competition which India every year. It is called Ali Khan Trophy, where a lot of historical buildings are documented. And unfortunately, temples are never documented by the
Abbas, 1 minute. I think we just lost your voice for a bit. Can you repeat that, please? Last sentence.
Yeah, I was saying that every year we have got a very interesting competition among the architecture students to document the historical buildings. That is called Ali Khan Trophy. But unfortunately, not a single temple has been documented so far by the bunch of students because faculties have not encouraged them to do it. But their colleges situated in Orissa, who can document a lot of architecture of Bhubaneswar. Bhubaneswar is hub of temples, but there is not enough documentation which is available. They can do experiments based on scale models, that how the forces work. That is also very much possible considering that we have now got digital printing available. Also, one very interesting aspect in the current architecture system is that we have advanced a lot in terms of parametric architecture. We create a very different kind of forms वगैरह सब कुछ हम बना रहे हैं, उसमें mathematical scripting involved होती है. So ये जितने भी patterns temple में exist कर रहे हैं, whatever patterns are there, if someone can come up with the idea of generating the mathematical equations of it, so उनको भी हम document करके फिर से map कर सकते हैं. In fact, I had started working on this long back, and I'm still continuing for the thesis of it because this was my BR thesis, where I started developing the equation for the patterns of which were embarked onto the temples. So those studies are very much required. That will really make us understand that how our ancestors used to work and how the architecture was in reality in terms of functions.
It's really amazing considering that these days people are not even able to get a structure of a dome right in spite of using all the steel and everything.
Yeah.
I've seen that happen in Rajasthan. When our assembly building was being designed, they were not able to get the dome right. They could not lay the stones properly, and ultimately they had to fake some kind of a steel structure and then paint it in the manner of a stone. So definitely the kind of mathematics that would have been involved is probably, as our friend Dr. C.K. Raju calls it, it would have been empirical mathematics rather than the dogmatic mathematics that we've been using. So I think that's something that we can use, take help of these mathematicians who have been working empirically, somebody like Dr. Raju or somebody like Jonathan Crabtree, who have been working with the rope geometry. And I think rope geometry used to be very common. Recently, you would have remembered that we had this little riddle that from Ayodhya, certain murtis and certain artifacts were found. And there was one particular pattern which had 29 lotus on the outer circle and 13 lotus on the inner circle. And all the mathematicians have been wondering how it was actually done. And somebody who knew the rope trick, he was able to explain it in a jiffy. Okay, look, use the Raju Ganit and you get it in no time. And whereas if you use the Euclidean geometry, you will never get it.
Yes. So perhaps because we even the base of the calculus comes from India. So, and when all this architecture was developing, that was the period when even calculus was being developed. So there must have been a lot of application of these subjects, which unfortunately don't stand documented so far. Or maybe that even if they would have been documented, where they got lost, we don't know, because we also know that there are a lot of manuscripts which remain untranslated. So maybe that definitely we had something very scientific use of calculus too was happening back then, but we don't know, because I see a lot of problems among the academic in the whole professional fraternity of architecture. Like even if you want people to calculate the basic areas based on linear equations or maybe quadratic equations, they will fail to do it. They are so much used to the calculator and the things like that, that somehow to generate design through sketches are failing. And because of that, the kind of structures what we created in the past out of passion, because passion always comes when you sketch it out, when you calculate it out manually, but somehow the passion is missing. And at the same time that there has been a lot of degradation in the architecture, what we had in the past and what we will see in the future.
That's a wonderful explanation, Abbas. I think our viewers are definitely going to be enriched by this, and they will probably be asking a lot more questions. And when we get the questions, and maybe there'll be another opportunity to get you to explain the intricacies of temple architecture. Thank you very much, Abbas. It was wonderful having you, and it was a wonderful explanation from you. Thank you so much. Namaskar.
Thank you. Namaskar.
Press the bell icon on YouTube and don't miss another update.